Well, I'm gonna call you Todd because
Oh, no, that's fine too.
I know I'm gonna forget to call you BlackHaze.
That's fine. If you could, when you title it though, if you could put.
Yes, I will title it BlackHaze.
Okay.
I will. Yes.
Do we confuse the audience when we use different names though?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Write BlackHaze down on your piece of paper so you won't.
Like in big bold letters. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is MahoganyUnder with CeCe and Dr. Yancey. Today on our show, we have BlackHaze. How you doing, BlackHaze?
I'm doing just fine. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing wonderful.
Good.
BlackHaze, tell us a little bit about yourself for the audience.
Okay. Well, I originally started out as an organic grassroots, just community organizer, basically just building, talking about things that have to do with social injustice before it was a thing. This goes back decades. You didn't have platforms like this to exercise your voice. Basically, it was just getting people who were like-minded and talking to them about things that were, tearing up our community. That morphed into just in later years what I'm doing now is I have a show, BlackHaze Unapologetic. I do a platform where we talk about everything. It's free form, but we cover the issues that specifically target our youth, going from things like finance to mental health challenges for Black males, especially like myself, just getting everything right. Police brutality, everything that you can think of all in a nutshell. I'm kind of glossing over, but basically just in a nutshell, we just want to get the voice out to the people, let them know what's going on, and not only talking about causality, but what fixes the problems that we have as Black people.
Absolutely. Some solutions.
And you want to break the generational curses. You want to make sure that people have as much information available that we didn't have access to. Certain things we don't talk about as Black people. We don't discuss. We don't talk about commerce. The American dream is to acquire debt. We got to not only get away from just certain things that are systemically wrong, but then learn things that are good for us, like just bridging that wealth gap, getting us back into a more powerful position as we go through life.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Today on MahoganyUnder, we're going to be talking to BlackHaze about the state of America after Kenosha, Wisconsin. And everybody saw what happened on television, how the Black guy was shot in the back by the police officer. And it was hard to look at. It was really hard to look at. Having a Black son, it makes me afraid every day. It makes me afraid every day.
And it should, though. I mean, when my son first got his motorcycle, I thought that was the biggest thing I would have to worry about, him zipping up and down the road. Now, you worry more about just a simple everyday, is he going to make it home from work? Is he going to be okay going to the store? Is he just going to be okay in general? Because as you see, with repeated incidents, they're not outliers. These are things that keep happening over and over again without any type of real response from the community in a positive way. I understand the rioting, I understand the anger and stuff, but you have to get to a point where you have to address the issue so that going forward, this does not keep on taking place. Yeah, we another thing, I kind of gloss over what I talk about is that we can't expect somebody else to take care of what's going on in our community. It's like you expecting somebody to come by and just cut your grass. The onus is on us. We are inherently responsible for the things that are wrong. They gave us the hood, we cultivate it, we keep it, and we allow it to grow. And when we cut that off and we stop with the mindset of this is the best that we can do, put all the excuses to the side and just be actionable. Just take things that we have and just make them better. Nobody's going to come save us. We got to save ourselves, and we have the power to save ourselves.
That's right. We do have the power to save ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why I did this platform, so that we can have resources and have the power and the empowerment to save ourselves. Yes, we don't see a whole lot of us on TV, especially in a positive form. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's funny that, and I should have said that earlier. One of the things that really we're not represented in a very positive light. If you look at TV, look at the news, And if you're outside this country, especially, you think we're just a bunch of talking monkeys. You know, we're caricatures, especially the black male. You know, the rarity of seeing a heterosexual black male on TV, you know, it's one of those things that you rarely see. You don't have any positive imagery, and imagery is important. You know, we are aesthetically, you know, focused on things that are negative when it comes to our people. It's like with black women. You guys are painted a picture of if you're aggressive, you know, or you're assertive, you know, if you're professional, you don't get to see those things. You only get to see what's looked at as angry or negative or just derogatory images of our people. We are so much more than that. We're not a monolithic people. We bring a lot to the table and don't get a lot of credit for it.
Yes, true. Yes, yes, yes. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. We do bring so much more to the table. And this is what this platform is all about, showing ourselves in a positive light to help empower ourselves and empower our community.
Yes. Thank you for having me on, ladies. Thank you so much.
No problem. Tiffany, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, just want to say thanks for your podcast and being able to speak out on behalf of our males that are out there trying to do positive things and bring forth the word from the streets, from the ground roots. So want to thank you and just keep doing what you do.
Gotta thank you, ladies. You guys set the standards. You know, the black females doing it. We're trying to play catch up. You guys get it
we've been carrying this world. Y'all just seeing it right now.
Hey, protect our queens. That's another thing. You know, you got it. Yeah, new message to the black man. Definitely, we have to protect you guys because you guys have been with us, loyal, sticking with us when we weren't even deserved such loyalty. So definitely, we want to make sure.
You know, when we start treating each other better and people see that, then they can start taking that and treating us the same. But it starts with them.
Yes, you have to unlearn though. It's a lot. It's a lot. You know, we have a lot of us have PTSD. We are carrying around a lot of baggage.
Oh God, you're right. There's a lot of PTSD in our community. It is.
It is. We've been at war our whole lives.
Say that again. We don't have to cut that out.
We've been at war essentially our whole life though. We just haven't realized it. We just have so many challenges that we look at as normal that other societies don't deal with, other races of people or cultures just don't have every day, but we do. We are professional mourners for one. You know, if I ask you, Dr. Yancey, if I ask you, boo something, you can give me so many stories of just dealing with death, probably your whole life, and how we normalize things that shouldn't be normalized. You know, going to funerals, you know, going to repasts. It's just certain things that we have control over. Murder is the #1 killer of black males, 18 to I think 35 still in this country, and that is totally almost 100% curable. You know, you shouldn't be dying by homicide. Yeah. I put a gun on the table doesn't mean you have to shoot yourself in the head. We got to get away from a lot of things that we think are normal, but they're really not.
How do you see that, Dr. Yancey, in through your lens?
Yeah, definitely, especially when you talk about PTSD. What I see is that it's a lot of government sanctioned PTSD for the African American population, and that's a level that's really not spoken on. We look at PTSD by environmental, but we have government sanctioned PTSD that many African Americans and persons of color deal with.
Absolutely.
Well said, definitely. You got to stop making it profitable, though. You know, you look at privatized prisons, you look at the things that they have been profiting on from our pain and our blood. If we do away with that stuff, you know, it won't be so fashionable. If they can't make money off us, then they won't keep infusing it into our society. You know? And we have to stop allowing it to be infused in our society. It's a real thing, but like you said, it is government aided and assisted. It's a caste system that nobody wants to talk about. You know, there's a certain hierarchy that is blatant, but not literally spoken out loud. Like we're supposed to know our place, and theirs is up here, and we're supposed to be comfortable with staying down here.
Sure.
We're in an artificial society, so authenticity is a lost art with people. You know?
But hey, that comes with culture, with TV, with social media.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
They definitely encourage that falseness.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
So let's talk about what's been happening in Kenosha.
Okay.
It was really hard looking at the police shooting that black man in the back with his for one, with his children in a car.
Right.
For two, he could have de-escalated or handled the situation better than to just shoot him in the back.
You know, that's the direct representation of the two Americas. You look at Jacob Blake, who unarmed, walking away, not posing a threat, is shot 7 times in the back, as you said, with his kids in the car. Versus, you know, was it Kyle Rittenhouse was the gentleman, the 17-year-old gentleman that shot the people at the march, who was armed. You know, he shot 3 people, killed 2 of them. Yeah. But he was allowed to just leave the protest after shooting people, carrying a weapon, walking toward the police with people behind him shouting, he shot somebody, he shot somebody. They literally just didn't see him as a threat. All he had to do to not be a threat was put his hands in the air. And he was allowed to walk right by the cops and disappear into the night. Yep.
That's the 2 different standards for America. We see it every day. Every day.
And you had cops on the scene, as you said, you could have literally just, before he even got to the point where he was walking to the truck, you could have taken him down.
It was 2 of them.
Yeah, you could have, either way, to shoot him like that, especially the amount of shots, like you were not in danger. That over excessive use of force is so blatant in society. And therein lies the problem, because, you know, you've been told your whole life that the black man is the biggest threat to you. Yeah. So your subconscious already builds it up that he's a threat to you. And then your lack of regard for life, they're still going back to that 3/5 thing. They still want to pat us on the head and treat us as animals. Yeah. It is where that systemic racism comes to play, because you looked at as less than. So it's nothing for me to take your life. It's just like you squashing a bug in your house. And that's the mindset of a lot of police officers, a lot of people in this country in general, which is why not only do you get the police who act in such an aggressive manner and almost took that man's life, probably be paralyzed for the rest of his life, but also then you have on the other side of that, the non-black gentleman who shot and killed 2 people and injured a third had almost $100,000 toward his fund before, you know, the smoke even cleared on the whole incident.
Yep. It says a lot about this United States of America.
And basically how, you know, Black lives really don't matter until we make it matter. Just no regard for human life. And it extends beyond just Black lives. You have to have a limited ability to be a human being to just kill people and then go to bed at night.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like there is no recourse. There's no karma that's going to come your way. But they have none. It's just a limited ability to be human at that moment.
Right. Well said. Definitely.
And especially for them to use such force in front of those kids, because if that was the normal person, those kids would have been taken away and they would have been in jail.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, you see restraint in them, the ability for them to act in the opposite in similar situations when the person is not Black. You know, you see, you know, Dylan Roof. If you ever look at the police footage of Dylan Roof, he's the one who killed the people in Charleston. He shot the people in the church in Charleston. When you have an opportunity, if you haven't looked at it, go to YouTube and pull up the arrest footage. Now, this is a gentleman who's killed 9 people in the church. He was arrested in North Carolina at a traffic stop, ironically enough. And if you look at the video of it, the whole approach to the cops is this is an armed murderer. But the cops, even as they're walking up to his car, some of the cops were even putting their guns back in their holster even before they got him to the car. This is even before they took him to Burger King and all that. It just blows your mind to see that approach of, okay, this is a man who just literally shot and killed multiple people. Yep. He's on the run. He's armed. You know, he's armed and supposedly dangerous, but the whole approach to taking him into custody was different. Yep. Jacob Blake's dead for what reason? You know, help me out. He's dead. Why? Because of a domestic issue. He didn't have a weapon on him. Right. I mean, he's not dead. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Jacob Blake. Oh, excuse me. He's not dead, but he's shot and paralyzed. For what reason? 7 shots in the back. What was he going to do? with a white beat on? What was going to happen? Explain that to me. It's like Dr. Yancey said, you got to get just regard for human life is something that's a lost art. Just a simple, basic understanding. This is a life. Once I take that life, I can't give it back to you.
We're not seen as human for some reason, or like I am just so surprised that that young man survived.
Yeah, that's that's nothing but God right there. Because at close range like that, to be shot that many times, and police are trained to shoot to kill, send a mass. But just to shoot that many times, when I looked at the video twice. Once because I couldn't believe how it transpired, and then the second time I had to look at it because some things I just had to process and put together from my own brain just to get. Am I seeing this correctly? Did he really have a weapon? Because that was the narrative they tried to put out there, trying to say he had a knife and all this. I had to go back and look at it, and you just look. There's just no reason. You can visually see there his kids in the car. Who did he think he was going to do? He's going to get in the car and do what? What? He posed no threat to you, but you decided to shoot him in the back of all places too, with his back to you. This is the Wild West. You'd be a coward. You're not supposed to shoot people, let alone in the back, unarmed.
I'm gonna tell you what he didn't expect. He didn't expect somebody to be recording that.
That's it. Yeah. A good thing they did, because what kind of story would be out there right now?
I know.
If we didn't have video.
Yes.
Yeah. What would they be telling you? Because I don't know. Did you see the sheriff? Did you guys see the sheriff's response? He didn't even look at the video yet. Hasn't even.
I think it goes beyond them feeling threatened. Because like how they choose to not feel threatened by certain persons and feel so threatened by others. It goes beyond feeling threatened. It's just a devalue of life. Even when Dylan shot those other people, he is truly a threat to everyone in society, but not to the cops. Why? Because he shot Black people. He was no longer a threat to anybody as far as those cops were concerned. So they didn't even pull their gun. Then you have Black people who are unarmed. Unarmed Black people are such a threat. So just cognitively processing that how are Black people threats? How is anybody a threat unarmed and you're a person with a weapon?
And trained with a weapon though. Not even just you have a weapon, but you're
trained with a weapon.
Trained to use it in the proper fashion. And time and time again, we end up dead for no reason. Without cause. It's just, I don't know what breaks that cycle, but we definitely have to do a lot better.
I think we should talk about that, like what breaks it.
Like you said, it hits home. It is a lack of regard for human life, but it's that thing that you have embedded in your brain that this Black person is a threat versus somebody who's not Black is not going to cause me harm. Now, mindset is a tricky thing because you're talking about these are grown people who have certain ideals that are just a part of them, and they react accordingly. Like you look at a Black male, he's a threat. A Black woman is a threat. Everybody else, the rest of the world is safe. Right. So to me, as it pertains to police, you have to have a better vetting process as it comes to police. You have certain companies that have certain requirements for you to have a job. The police department and most police departments throughout the nation don't have a lot of qualifications for you to be a cop outside of the desire to want to be one.
Right.
Which is what you see a lot of that is a problem because, well, paying taxes. To me, if you pay a better wage, you have a better quality of people that are going to take that position. Cops, for the most part, don't make a lot of money. And you got to ask yourself, why would anybody really want to be a cop? It's not going to set you up for life, comfortably. Mm-hmm. So who is it that's becoming police? What are their qualifications to become a police officer? And basically, you just have to have a high school diploma. And again, like I said, the desire to be a police officer. Police officers on average, I think, get trained maybe, I think it's like 20 weeks or something to handle life and death situations. And
that's it?
That's a scary proposition because I know I've been trained for jobs. You've been trained for jobs. And I know you've been in the military. There are certain things that you just don't do in situations that are escalated or learn how to de-escalate situations that if you're a cop on the street, they don't seem to have the ability to do, or maybe it's just they don't care to do them because they have no responsibility. We have to also do away with protection for police. Like you have a cop who's making what, maybe $35,000 a year. He's working too much. He's away from his family. He's out in a community that he doesn't understand.
Yep.
If you, and I know you guys probably remember this, maybe other people that tune in might not. Police used to actually be out in the community. They used to be a part of the community. They used to actually be outside of the cars. Now police never get out of the car. You know, you don't know the cop's name. You don't familiarize yourself with them. So the police that are in the communities, everybody that they're coming in contact with is a stranger to them. Oh. And that's another thing. You have such a strong reaction in a negative way because you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know that Dr. Yancey's not going to pull out a gun and kill you. You know, she's just acting in a certain way, and you're going to take her down by any means necessary. Right. Or the fact that Dr. Yancey might have some pre-existing conditions. You know, she might be on the spectrum in one way or the other. So when you approach that situation and you see her acting in a certain manner, you're not qualified to handle that. Your only response is overly excessive use of force time and time again. You know, it's like the resource officers at the school, the officers in the communities, because you see it time and time again, and there is no definitive answer how to eliminate that outside of just getting a better class of people to do the job. You know, you don't go into Chick-fil-A with the same response to how you're going to have an interaction as you do when you go to McDonald's. You know, Chick-fil-A, they vet their people a little bit better. You have a better quality of person there and experience most of the time at Chick-fil-A.
I like that analogy.
You know, because the cops, if you can't pay cops 6 figures, just like with teachers, if you pay them a certain amount, the way you can vet them is going to give you a better quality of person. The person who's going to look toward taking that type of job is going to be higher qualified and better able, I would like to think, to deal with things that have to do with policing.
Yeah.
So what do you think then? Because I think on two folds when it comes to policing, there is no level of assessment that we could give anyone hired as a police officer if you have a bias, difficult time in respecting persons of color. If that is in your gene, if that is in your nature, if that is your perspective on life, there's no test or quality. You can pay me $100,000 as a cop or $15,000 as a cop. If I am that way, I am that way. Okay. So that's one spectrum. There is no way to govern prejudice.
Okay.
The other spectrum is the actual policing type of environment. So if it's acceptable, if it's not governed, if it's not sanctioned, if it's not judged, there's no other workforce in our society that has 100% immunity.
Yeah, that qualified immunity, that's the thing that has to go. Like the fact that you have no recourse for your actions, that's another thing. You can't, a cop can kill you and they just walk away scot-free. Like,
yeah, that's my question. Like, so if you could give advice to Vice President Biden and Senator Kamala Harris about police reform, what types of reform would you suggest?